In the pleasant orchard closes, God bless all our gains, say we. But may God bless all our losses, better suits with our degree. Listen gentle, aye, and simple, listen, children on the knee. Green is the land where my daily steps in jocund childhood played, dimpled close with hill and valley, dappled very close with shade. Summer snow of apple blossoms running up from glade to glade. There is one hill I see nearer in my vision of the rest, and a little wood seems clearer as it climbeth from the west, sideway from the tree-locked valley to the airy upland crest. Small the wood is, green with hazels, and, completing the ascent, where the wind blows and the sun dazzles, thrills in leafy tremblement, like a heart that after climbing beateth quickly through content. Not a step the wood advances, o'er the open hilltops bound. There, in green arrest, the branches see their image on the ground. You may walk beneath them smiling, glad with sight and glad with sound. For you hearken on your right hand how the birds do leap and call in the greenwood, out of sight and out of reach and fear of all, and the squirrels crack the filberts through their cheerful madrigal. On your left the sheep are cropping the slant grass and daisies pale, and 5 apple trees stand dropping separate shadows toward the vale, over which, in choral silence, the hills look you there, all hail. Far out, kindled by each other, shining hills on hills arise, close as brother leans to brother, when they press beneath the eyes of some father praying blessings from the gifts of paradise. While beyond, above them mounted, and above their woods also, Malvern Hills, for mountains counted, not unduly loom arow, keepers of Piers Plowman's visions through the sunshine and the snow. Yet in childhood little prized I that fair walk and far survey. 'Twas a straight walk unadvised by the least mischief worth a neigh, up and down, as dull as grammar on the eve of holiday. But the wood, all close and clenching, bough in bough and root in root, no more sky for overbranching, at your head than at your foot. Oh, the wood drew me within it by a glamour past dispute. Few and broken paths showed through it, where the sheep had tried to run, forced with snowy wool to strew it round the thickets, when anon they, with silly thorn-pricked noses, bleated back into the sun. But my childish heart beat stronger than those thickets dared to grow. I could pierce them, I could longer travel on, methought, than so. Sheep for sheep paths, braver children climb and creep where they would go. And the poets wander, said I, over places all as rude. Bold Rinaldo's lovely lady sat to meet him in a wood. Rosalinda, like a fountain, laughed out pure with solitude. And if Chaucer had not travelled through a forest by a well, he had never dreamt nor marvelled at those ladies fair and fell, who lived smiling without loving in their island citadel. Thus I thought of the old singers, and took courage from their song, till my little struggling fingers tore asunder gyve and thong of the brambles which entrapped me, and the barrier branches strong. On a day, such pastime keeping, with a fawn's heart debonair, under crawling, overleaping, thorns that prick and boughs that bear, I stood suddenly astonied, I was gladdened unaware. From the place I stood in floated back the covert dim and close, and the open ground was coated, carpet smooth with grass and moss, and the bluebell's purple presence signed it worthily across. Here a linden tree stood, brightening, all adown its silver rind, for as some trees draw the lightning, so this tree, unto my mind, drew to earth the blessed sunshine from the sky where it was shrined. Tall the linden tree, and near it an old hawthorn also grew, and wood ivy like a spirit hovered dimly round the two, shaping thence that bower of beauty which I sing of thus to you. 'Twas a bower for a garden fitter than for any woodland wide, though a fresh and dewy glitter struck it through from side to side. Shaped and shaven was the freshness, as by garden cunning plied. Oh, a lady might have come there, hooded fairly like her hawk, with a book or lute in summer, and a hope of sweeter talk, listening less to her own music than for footsteps on the walk. But that bower appeared a marvel in the wildness of the place, with such seeming art and travail, finely fixed and fitted was, leaf to leaf, the dark green ivy, to the summit from the base. And the ivy, veined and glossy, was enwrought with elegantine, and the wild hop fibred closely, and the large-leaved columbine, arch of door and window, mullion did right sylvanly entwine. Rose trees either side of the door were, growing lithe and growing tall, each one set a summer warder for the keeping of the hall, with a red rose and a white rose leaning, nodding at the wall. As I entered, mosses hushing stole all noises from my foot, and a green elastic cushion, clasped within the linden's root, took me in a chair of silence very rare and absolute. All the floor was paved with glory, greenly, silently inlaid, through quick motions made before me, with fair counterparts in shade, of the fair serrated ivy leaves which slanted overhead. Is such pavement in a palace? So I questioned in my thought, the sun shining through the chalice of the red rose hung without, threw within a red libation, like an answer to my doubt. At the same time, on the linen of my childish lap there fell 2 white may leaves, downward winning through the ceiling's miracle, from a blossom like an angel, out of sight yet blessing well. Down to floor and up to ceiling, quick I turned my childish face, with an innocent appealing for the secret of the place, to the trees, which surely knew it in partaking of the grace. Where's no foot of human creature, how could reach a human hand? And if this be work of nature, why has nature turned so bland? Breaking off from other wild work, it was hard to understand. Was she weary of rough doing, of the bramble and the thorn? Did she pause in tender rueing, hear of all her sylvan scorn? Or in mock of art's deceiving, was the sudden mildness worn? Or could this same bower, I fancied, be the work of dryads strong, who, surviving all that chanced in the world's old pagan wrong, lay hid, feeding in the woodland on the last true poet's song? Or was this the house of fairies, left, because of the rough ways, unassoiled by Ave Maries, which the passing pilgrim prays, and beyond St. Catherine's chiming on the blessed Sabbath days? So, young muser, I sat listening to my fancy's wildest word. On a sudden, through the glistening leaves around, a little stirred, came a sound, a sense of music, which was rather felt than heard. Softly, finely, it enwound me. From the world it shut me in, like a fountain falling round me, with the silver waters thin. Clips a little water naiad, sitting smilingly within. Whence the music came, who knoweth? I know nothing, but indeed, Pan or Faunus never bloweth so much sweetness from a reed, which has sucked the milk of waters at the oldest river head. Never lark the sun can waken with such sweetness, when the lark, the high planets overtaking, in the half-envanished dark, casts his singing to their singing, like an arrow to the mark. Never nightingale so singeth, oh, she leans on thorny tree, and her poet's song she flingeth over pain to victory. Yet she never sings such music, or she sings it not to me. Never blackbirds, never thrushes, nor small finches sing as sweet, when the sun strikes through the bushes to their crimson clinging feet, and their pretty eyes look sideways to the summer heavens complete. If it were a bird, it seemed most like Chaucer's, which, in sooth, he of green and azure dreamed, while it sat in spirit ruth, on that bier of a crowned lady, singing nigh her silent mouth. If it were a bird, ah, septic, give me yea or give me nay, though my soul were nympholeptic, as I heard that virelay. You may stoop your pride to pardon, for my sin is far away. I rose up in exultation, and an inward trembling heat, and, it seemed, in jest of passion, dropped the music to my feet, like a garment rustling downwards. Such a silence followed it. Heart and head beat through the quiet, full and heavily, though slower. In the song I think, and by it, mystic presences of power had upsnatched me to the timeless, then returned me to the hour. In a child abstraction lifted, straightway from the bower I passed, foot and soul being grimly drifted through the greenwood, till, at last, in the hilltop's open sunshine, I all consciously was cast. Face to face with the true mountains, I stood silently and still, drawing strength from fancy's dauntings, from the air about the hill, and from nature's open mercies, and most debonair goodwill. Oh, the golden-hearted daisies, witnessed there, before my youth, to the truth of things, with praises of the beauty of the truth, and I woke to nature's real, laughing joyfully for both. And I said within me, laughing, I have found a bower today, a green lusus, fashioned half in chance and half in nature's play, and a little bird sings nigh it, I will nevermore missay. Henceforth I will be the fairy of this bower built not by one. I will go there, sad or merry, with each morning's benison, and the bird shall be my harper in the dream hall I have won. So I said, but the next morning, child, look up into my face. Where, O sceptic, you're scorning? This is truth in its pure grace. The next morning, all had vanished, or my wandering missed the place. Bring an oath most sylvan holy, and swear it by me true, by the wind bells swinging slowly, their mute curfews in the dew, by the advent of the snowdrop, by the rosemary and rue. I affirm by all or any, let the cause be charm or chance, that by my wandering searches many, missed the bower of my romance, that I never more upon it turned my mortal countenance. I affirm that, since I lost it, never bower has seemed so fair, never garden creeper crossed it with so deft and brave an air, never bird sung in the summer as I saw and heard them there. Day by day, with new desire, toward my wood I ran in faith, under leaf and over bier, through the thickets, out of breath, like the prince who rescued beauty from the sleep as long as death. But his sword of metal clashed, and his arm smote strong, I ween, and her dreaming spirit flashed through her body's fair white screen, and the light thereof might guide him up to the cedar alleys green. But for me, I saw no splendor. All my sword was my child heart, and the wood refused surrender of that bower it held apart, safe as Oedipus's grave place mid Colonus's olive swart. As Aladdin sought the basements his fair palace rose upon, and the 24 casements which gave answers to the sun, so, in wilderment of gazing, I looked up and I looked down. Years have vanished since, as wholly as the little bower did then, and you call it tender folly that such thoughts should come again. Ah, I cannot change this sighing for your smiling, brother men. For this loss it did prefigure other loss of better good, when my soul in spirit vigor and in ripened womanhood fell from visions of more beauty than an arbor in a wood. I have lost, oh, many a pleasure, many a hope and many a power, studious health and merry leisure, the first dew on the first flower. But the first of all my losses was the losing of the bower. I have lost the dream of doing, and the other dream of done, the first spring in the pursuing, the first pride in the begun, first recoil from incompletion, in the face of what is won. Exaltations in the far light, where some cottage only is, mild dejection in the starlight, which the sadder-hearted miss, and the child cheek blushing scarlet for the very shame of bliss. I have lost the sound child sleeping, which the thunder could not break, something too of the strong leaping of the stag-like heart awake, which the pale is low for keeping in the road it ought to take. Some respect to social fictions has also been lost by me, and some generous genuflections which my spirit offered free to the pleasant old conventions of our false humanity. All my losses did I tell you, ye perchance would look away, ye would answer me, farewell, you make sad company today, and your tears are falling faster than the bitter words you say. For God placed me like a dial in the open ground with power, and my heart had for its trial all the sun and all the shower, and I suffered many losses, and my first was of the bower. Laugh you, if that loss of mine be of no heavy seeming weight. When the cone falls from the pine tree, the young children laugh thereat, yet the wind that struck it riseth, and the tempest shall be great. One who knew me in my childhood, in the glamour and the game, looking on me long and mild, would never know me for the same. Come, unchanging recollections, where those changes overcame. By this couch I weakly lie on, while I count my memories, through the fingers which, still sighing, I press closely on mine eyes. Clear as once beneath the sunshine, I behold the bower arise. Springs the linden tree as greenly, stroked with light adown its rind, and the ivy leaves serenely, each in either entwined. And the rose trees at the doorway, they have neither grown nor pined. From those overblown faint roses, not a leaf appeareth shed, and that little bud discloses not a thorn's breadth more of red, for the winters and summers which have passed me overhead. And that music overfloweth, sudden sweet, the sylvan eaves, thrush or nightingale, who knoweth, fay or faunus, who believes? But my heart still trembles in me to the trembling of the leaves. Is the bower lost then? Who saith that the bower is indeed lost? Hark! My spirit in it prayeth through the sunshine and the frost, and the prayer preserves it greenly to the last and uttermost, till another open for me in God's Eden land unknown, with an angel at the doorway, white with gazing at his throne, and a saint's voice in the palm trees, singing, "All is lost and won."